Hi, and welcome to Module 2 of Climate Solutions Journalism, a community-informed and equity-focused approach. I hope you enjoyed our first week. Now we are moving into the part of the course where we head to more specifics to assist you in incorporating climate-related information into your stories. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the online forum. Climate change is the most significant challenge of our time, affecting every facet of our lives, and journalists should be leading the global conversation. Audiences are eager to learn more about climate change, its possible remedies, and how they can contribute to addressing it. We are weeks away from the November election. As Earth approaches critical tipping points, climate has become a key election issue. In this week's first reading, Reporting on Climate in the 2024 U.S. Elections, Covering Climate Now created a short guide for connecting climate to election coverage. Here are three key election issues in the guide that I want to highlight. First, voters' perspectives. According to a study by the Yale Program of Climate Change Communication, 56% of Americans are either concerned or alarmed about climate change. They prefer elected officials who prioritize climate solutions, reduce carbon emissions, and promote clean energy. Polls show that the idea of a simple red-blue divide on climate change is not accurate. Climate denialists make up a small and shrinking portion of the population. Around 80% of Americans express a desire to learn more about climate change, as reported by the YPCCC. Second, engaging candidates. Politicians at all levels of government are currently working on legislation to accelerate the shift to green energy, decrease emissions, and enhance community resilience to climate change effects. When speaking with candidates for city council, mayor, state legislature, and Congress, inquire about their efforts to address climate change and what actions they are taking or not taking in this regard. Here are two of the 7 questions Covering Climate Now suggests. How will you protect people and communities from climate impacts, including the most vulnerable groups? How will you enhance the resilience of critical infrastructure, such as energy grids, water systems, transportation, and telecommunication networks in the face of climate-fueled threats? Finally, call out misinformation. Climate change is set to become a key issue in the 2024 election, attracting both accurate and misleading information. The oil and gas industry has long been spreading misinformation about climate change to protect their stake in fossil fuel consumption. Politicians, lobbying groups, social media influencers, and media outlets also contribute to this dissemination of misinformation. The goal of climate misinformation is typically to sow doubt and uncertainty about the reality of climate change and the possible solutions. Here is one of the 3 common climate myths included in Covering Climate Now's guide. Myth: scientists don't agree about climate change. Truth: more than 99% of climate scientists agree that human activity is overheating the planet. Climate change is not in doubt, nor is it a political hoax. The climate story is urgent, and journalists can convey that urgency by fairly and accurately reporting the facts, questioning candidates about their proposed policies, and correcting the record by dispelling misinformation. Now I would like to talk about the work of some leading climate solutions journalists and coverage of how communities mitigate, respond to, and adapt to climate change impacts. Most of you probably know that mitigation are actions that ultimately, directly or indirectly, reduce GHG emissions or sequester carbon to reduce the long-term impacts of climate change. We hear a lot about the carbon dioxide we spew into the atmosphere from burning fossil fuels for energy and transportation, but most of us know far less about the greenhouse that should be getting our attention: methane. Methane is released from oil and gas systems, livestock, enteric fermentation, and landfills. The second reading, How Campus Cafeterias Became Hotspots for Climate Action by Jack McGovern, is about mitigation, reducing GHG emissions on college campuses by serving fewer meat options and more plant-forward food options. The mitigation strategy would be primarily targeting a reduction in methane. Adaptation is really important in climate solution reporting because we are all living through the climate crisis every single day. It is not coming, it is now, and it has been with us for a very long time. So there are lots of solutions that prepare people and ecosystems for the climate impacts. So adaptation is a rich area for us to focus on. Climate Change is Pushing Pacific Northwest Farmers to Protect Crops from Extreme Heat by Michael Crow is the third reading that focuses on how farmers in the Pacific Northwest are adapting to warmer temperatures that are threatening their crops. And then finally, resilience. These are stories that are solutions that help people respond to the climate impacts, not just prepare for them, but actually respond. And I think it's important to remember in all of these stories, it is to come at this through an equity and environmental justice focus. When we are thinking about telling stories, particularly around resilience and adaptation, we need to be honest and respectful about why this certain community had to adapt, had to become resilient. So these are things to really keep in mind so that we aren't being extractive and transactional in our coverage of climate, because you can still be that and do climate solutions reporting. So we want to make sure that we're holistically looking at people through their strengths and not just through their deficits. An Indigenous Reservation has a novel way to grow food below the Earth's surface by Haley Golden is about how the Oglala Sioux tribe is building greenhouses underground. There is only a subtle difference here between the previous adaptation story and this one, which is resilience. The difference is that this story is about how this community is shifting the way they do something that is fundamental to their very survival in anticipation of future weather, thereby preparing themselves for a more secure future despite a changing climate. Climate change is a critical issue that is affecting communities and ecosystems globally. However, the media coverage of climate change leaves audiences feeling frustrated and hopeless. The abundance of information available often leaves people confused and unsure of what to believe, leading to a sense of overwhelm. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we'll hear from Swati Sanyal Tartaftar, a journalist, mentor, and solutions journalism trainer, who is our guest speaker. Swati says she often hears the same questions about solutions reporting, no matter who is studying and discussing it. She recently wrote answers to 7 of the most popular questions she hears to help people like you on your solutions journalism journey. Get ready, and I'll see you in the forums.